All right, math folks. Yesterday's lesson was focused on finding the mean or the average of a data set. And today we're going to be looking at something different. We're going to be looking at measures of center. And that's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to be looking at some measures that are aimed at finding the center of a data set. And the mean is actually one of those, but we've already done that. The two we're going to do today are the median and the mode. The word median, before we even get into this lesson, if you're driving down the road and there's that divide that splits the people going one way versus the people going the other way, that median, that's what it's called. It's called a median. It's the middle of the road. Median literally translates into middle. So we're going to be finding measures of the middle or measures of center. So a measure of center is exactly like I just said. It's a statistic that we can use to describe a set of data using one single number. So we want to be able to summarize the entire data set, and to do that, we can use something called a measure of center. And the three measures of center that we speak about in sixth grade are the mean, the median, and the mode. We've done the mean, right? You add all the numbers up and you divide by however many numbers there are, and then that summarizes the entire data set using one number. The median and the mode can do that too. However, they are found slightly differently. And then later in this unit, we'll even talk about how do you know which one to use? Like, should you use the mean or the median or the mode? There's a way to tell, but I'm getting far ahead of myself. For now, let's focus on finding the mean, the median, and the mode. So as a quick refresher, let's go over the mean. We're going to reference this little story. I am a Mavericks fan, and they decided to bring me onto their team roster. They wanted to give me a shot. And after 9 games, they wanted to evaluate my stats, see if I'm worth keeping around, keep me on the team or not. So in my last 9 games, I scored the following point totals: 12, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15, 16, 18, and then I had a nice 42-point game. How do you find the average? You add everything up: 12 plus 12 plus 13 plus 14 plus 15 plus 15 plus 16 plus 18 plus 42. And you divide by however many numbers there are. In this case, there are 9 numbers. So I'm going to add those up, divide by 9, and the stats department finds that my average, or another word for that is my mean, in those 9 games was 17.4 points. And so they're still going to evaluate me. They're going to try to use some other statistics to do so, but at least they have a starting point with my average. What else could they use? Well, they could use something called the median, our first new thing for the day. It literally means, like I said before, middle. Like the middle of a road is called the median. So the median in a data set is the actual middle value. And so what you're going to do to find the middle value is you're going to order the data from least to greatest. And today we're going to be focusing on one specific scenario, and that is if your set of data has an odd number of values. We're going to look at what happens if there's an even number of values tomorrow. But let's say your data set has an odd number. Like in the basketball scenario, it had 9 numbers. That's an odd number. So how do you do that? You can actually find the middle by just counting down. So take this example. This is an odd number: 5, 8, 9, 12, and 14. There are 5 data values there. Since that's an odd number, I can just count down. So left, right, and then I'm down to 1 number. This is my median. This is my middle number. This is where I could like draw a line down the middle, and then there's 2 on this side, and there's 2 numbers on this side. That's the actual literal middle of the data set. So if the data has an odd number of values, it's quite easy. You just count down, and I just do that by going like 1 from each side until I get to the actual middle number, and that's your median, your middle number. And so what does the median do? It allows you to summarize the data using one number. So I could say, I scored a bunch of points. The middle of my data set is around 9. So that's kind of closer to where my average is. The other thing you can use to describe a set of data is the mode. Mode is a fancy word for the number that occurs most often. I kind of stress that O because mode, most often. But the mode is the value, or sometimes values, sometimes it's more than one, that occurs most often in a set of data. You could have a scenario where there is one mode, there is one number that occurs more often than all of the other ones. You might have a scenario where there's like two or three numbers that all happen more than the other numbers in the data set. So you could have multiple modes. Or you could have a set like this up here where every number occurs once. There is no mode because nothing occurs more often than anything else. So let's put an example to this. Let's say we've got the data 11, 13, 15, 15, 18, 21, 24, 24. In this scenario, there are two numbers that occur more often than the others, and that's 15, it occurs twice, and 24, it also occurs twice. So this data set has two modes. There are two numbers that occur more frequently than the others, and those are 15 and 24. So 15 and 24 are your two modes. I did say that there could be no mode, like in this scenario here. Please don't write 0. Write actually no mode. 0 is a number. Someone might think that you're saying 0 occurs more often than the other values. So if there's no mode, you just write no mode. If there's two modes or three modes, you can write them down. If there's one mode, just write it down. But let's do some examples before we wrap up today. Here's a set of data, and it says to find the median and the mode. So let's do the median first. Step 1, make sure, sorry if I blew your ears out, but make sure that you order your data from least to greatest. That has to be your first step. If you're going to find the middle, you can't find the middle if they're in a random order. You have to put them in order from least to greatest. So that'd be 80, 85, 86, where are we at? 89, 95, 95, and 100. So there's my data reordered. Now I can find the middle. So take one off of each side until you get down to the middle. So my median, the middle of this data set, is 89. And the mode, aka the number that occurs more often than others, well, we have two 95s and nothing else occurs twice. So there is one mode in this data set, and that is 95, more often than the others. All right. Also, as a side note, why is the mode even important? Well, it might tell you something if you have a set of data where one number is occurring much more frequently than another. Maybe there's something to that, and it's something that you might want to analyze further. So the mode can sometimes tell us that there's something important happening and we should pay attention. Example 2, another just raw set of data. Let's find the median and the mode, and my first step has to be what? You're right, put it in order from least to greatest. So 0, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then 21. There's 7 values here. That's an odd number, so I can just count down. So 1 from each side, 1 from each side, and eventually you'll get down to one number left in the middle. So the median here is 6. And the mode, well, I'd say there's no mode here, right? There's no number that occurs more often than the others. They all happen once. And so there's nothing happening here in terms of a mode. There's nothing more frequent than the others. All right, last example for the day. I've got a list. It's right here. And this is a list of all the favorite colors for students in a class. It's kind of jumbled up, right? I just wrote it down as fast as I could as people were calling out their colors. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to ultimately find the mode. But before we do that, we're going to look at another data display called a frequency table. We are going to put everything into what is called a frequency table and then find the mode. So what the heck is a frequency table? Frequency, that word frequent, how frequently, how often. So frequency is a measure of how often something happens, and table just means a table. So we're going to put it in a table that captures how often it occurs. Um, I've set up the table already, but obviously you have to have your categories on one side, and then you have an option here. Some people like to keep track of things with tally marks. Other people will just prefer to write the actual number down. So I have a tally column and I have a frequency column. So if we counted the times that blue occurs in this list, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So some people like the classic tally marks. Other people just want to write the frequency is 8. Greens, if you want to count them, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The purples, there are 3. And the pinks, there are 2. And it just so happens that I lucked out and put these in order. I don't know how that happened, but it just did. And the question, if you want to recall, said, what is the mode of this data set? Well, the mode has to be blue. Why? Because it happens more often than the others. There's 8 blues in this data set, whereas there's only 6, 3, and 2 of the other colors. There is definitely one that is more liked. It happens more often than the others, and that's blue. Anyways, this is a 2-day lesson. We'll be doing median and mode slightly different tomorrow. For today, you've got a couple practice problems, 6 altogether, that go over the median and or the mode. Pay attention, ask questions if you have them, refer to this video as you need, and as always, have a super duper fun, awesome, amazing math time today. Bye!